One last point that I wanted to make is that even though random samples tend to be more representative than non-random samples, a representative sample isn't the same thing as a random sample, so that the terms random sample and representative sample have different meanings. So here's my last point. The term random sample describes a sample that's selected with a certain sampling method. There's a certain sampling method called random sampling, in which the participants are selected randomly, and when you use that sampling method, the sample that you end up getting is called a random sample. So this is named after a sampling method. But the word representative doesn't describe, or it doesn't refer to a certain sampling method. The word representative only describes the quality of the sample. So a representative sample is a high quality sample, and a non-representative sample is a low quality sample. But if a sample is representative, that doesn't necessarily mean that a certain sampling method was used. It only means that the sample is a high quality sample. Here's an analogy. Let's think about the terms bottled water and, I guess, river water. Both of these terms are named after a certain way of gathering water. Or, if water comes from a bottle, then it's bottled water. If water comes from a river, then it's river water. So both of these words describe where the water is coming from. And bottled water is probably more likely to be pure water than river water. So bottled water is more likely to be pure water. And river water is less likely to be pure water. So the word pure describes the quality of the water, just like how the word representative describes the quality of the sample. And just because water is pure doesn't necessarily mean it had to come from a certain place. Pure water doesn't have to necessarily come from a bottle, because there could be different ways of getting pure water. For example, if you use a filter, then you have pure water. So the word pure only describes the quality of the water, not where it came from. So this is how the water was, we could say how the water was gathered. These two terms talk about how the water was gathered, and this term of pure water talks about the quality of the water. Now down here, let's write out random samples tend to be representative samples. And non-random samples tend to be non-representative samples, or tend to be less representative. Random samples tend to be more representative, and non-random samples tend to be less representative, because no sample is completely representative. These terms, random and non-random, describe how the sample was gathered. how the people were selected. And the term representative describes the quality of the sample. So the words random and non-random describe how the sample was gathered, just like how the words bottled and river describe how the water was gathered. And the word representative and the word non-representative describe the quality of the sample, just like how the words pure and non-pure describe the quality of the water.